Hi, welcome to True Hurts. I am Ed, your host. Today on the show, I have a beautiful guest. I will let her introduce herself. Before that, I just want to disclaimer as usual. The show is about straight facts, no feelings. If you wonder where's your feelings on your sleeve, we hate to hurt your feelings. But if you want to enjoy the show, open-minded, here's a beautiful guest in the studio. Ms. Annie, I'll let you talk about yourself because left to me, I will blow the trumpet too loud.
Hi, my name is Annie Ross. I am here with Ed today on True Hurts to shed a female's perspective on some questions that he has. Thank
you, Annie. It is a general perspective, general perception rather of the males that it is very difficult for women to take accountability. That's why I have a woman in the studio to hear the female's perspective of or against why accountability seems to be or not, an issue with the female folk. Annie, if I was posing a question directly to you, like, why is it so difficult for women to, or for females or women to be accountable for most? What would you say?
I would say it depends on the woman and stage she's at in her life and her journey life. Accountability is something you have to take into your own life. You have to have gone through the journey and see the role that you play in certain situations in your life. And not everyone is willing to do that. It's easy to blame, right? It's easy to just point the finger and not knowing that when you point the finger, you're doing this.
Thumbs come back to you.
Not even what about this?
Exactly.
Exactly. So part of growth is being realistic with yourself, right? Knowing that if you want to change something, you need to look at yourself first and knowing the role that you play. So when it comes to accountability, that's a major part. Because if you're not taking into account what you're doing to fuel a situation or to allow a situation, then you're not going to be able to change anything, right? Like I said, it's a growth thing. If you're not at that stage in your life, you probably keep repeating the same cycle and blaming everybody else.
So is it safe to say, would I be overshooting if I say it's an innate thing? Like, women are born to not take accountability. Is that what it is? Or is it more of...
We could... I don't think it's an innate thing because some men don't take accountability too.
True, yeah.
So we cannot just say it's a female thing. We can say that it's a maturity thing. It's a growth thing.
Is it an entitlement thing because, she's been princess treated her whole life?
It could be that. It could be nobody's ever just pointed out like, hey, darling, I love you, but this is wrong. Right? Or, hey, sweetie, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, but this thing you're doing is going to hinder you. That's where having people who are honest with you is very important in your life, right? It's not just surrounding yourself with people who agree with you all the time or who just want to, boost you
blow up. Blow your trump, boost your ego every single time. It's funny. Yes, you're right. On one hand, there are men. Yeah, of course, we're not generalizing. We're not saying, oh, this is a general gender thing. Still sound like a gender thing, but that's not what we're saying. Disclaimer. But
we're not here for gender.
Exactly.
We're here to figure out how we can coexist.
Exactly.
And also function as a unit and as a family, and to stop breaking up our homes due to our own emotional doings and bad behaviors and bad character, because character is vital.
I personally, I am of the mindset that a lot of times, a lot of the things we pick up along the way has a lot to do with our growing up, our background, environments, the people around us, how the non-accountability generally that existed in whatever dynamics, whatever situation we found ourselves growing up. So I've always felt like, there is a point in my life where I don't think I was accountable enough. I look at the things, I sit back and look. I think while I'm lucky, or why I count myself fortunate, is I've always been that person that's able to sit back and look at the things I do in every situation, like, oh boy, man, you don't seriously, monkey. So that had been the luck I would say I had, because I grew up in Benin City, I was born in Delta State, Warri for that matter, and they'll tear your ass up. When you're doing stuff at home, the people in your family are the first to say, boy, wait till they worry this one. Because they'll rip you to shred. So we were born with that that environment forced us to be accountable right away. When you do stuff, before someone else says it, you by yourself, you're already ripping yourself to shred. Boy, see the way my head big, or the way, my face. So you insult yourself first. Exactly. So accountability had always been something that was present in the environment that I grew up in. But also, especially we live in the Western world.
Yeah.
When with the, I don't know if it's a Western thing. I don't want to generalize once more, but when I moved out here to the West, I realized the whole accountability thing was on a whole nother level. For the female folk, lack of accountability was on a whole nother scale. Like, you cannot, from the media to the just the general agenda push, it was just like people lack accountability. Females lack accountability. You will not sit back and say, I was wrong. Even simple apology in a situation, it blew my mind. I was like, okay, was it the society that was pushing the narrative that you are a prize, so therefore
you're allowed to
get away with everything? And
I don't think so. I think part of what you're talking about is pride. Is also accountability. And coming from a place where we were checked, because I'm also Nigerian, right?
Awesome. Oh, you are?
Yes. So I'm
okay.
Nigerian. I grew up in Lagos. So we believe that the community raises a child, right? So if your mother doesn't check you, your aunt will check you. Your grandma will check you. Your neighbor will check you. Your neighbor will whoop you. And the mother will say,
absolutely.
Thank you. After explaining what you've done. But you look at the society that we're in, it's very individualistic. You don't have the multi-generation, in the family. You don't have the grandma, the great-grandmother, and the cousin, in the family to check the child. So the child spends 8 hours in school every day, thereabouts. The teacher is barely surviving with 30 kids, 20 kids, or whatever. So, I don't always want to go to gender, because there are so many men that are also not accountable. They lack accountability, right? So when they're pushing the agenda of this feminist movement, I think the feminist movement kind of mirrors, if a man can do it, you can do it better. So you see that? If a man can do it, he can do it better. So why not do better the bad things too? It's not just the good things, right? You also start to mirror, if you don't take accountability, you're the man. There's so many things that men will do. They'll say, I'm the man, I'm this, I'm the that. And women are starting to do that. I have some financial power, I have some economic leeway. Why not just live my life the way I want, even if the behavior is detrimental?
So whatever you give her, she multiplies it.
We can multiply whatever. It doesn't just...
Even the bad, even the bad.
We want you long enough, right? Because sometimes they say when people live together for so long, they start to look like each other.
True.
This is why it's vital to pick a partner that brings the good quality. And, you guys feed off of each other. And somebody who can also hold you accountable. You have to be humble enough and be ready for growth.
Is that a problem that can be fixed? For example, I see the divorce rate, for example, in the West, it it's skyrocketing every day. At this point, the research says that 75 to 85% of the time women initiate divorces, and when they're educated, it goes to almost 90% of the time. That is a whole nother subject I don't even want to go into right now. So is it safe to say the more empowered
A
woman becomes, the more she's like, I don't give two effing F's. I'm not, I have the same financial power. I have the same economic power. I'm not apologizing. I'm not doing nothing.
Again, it goes back to the woman. It's not,
The individual.
Yes, it goes back to the woman. There are lots of women that are starting to realize you have the money, you can do what you want, but you're still lonely though. You still don't have a mate to go home to. You're cold. You don't have another head there to reason with you, check you, checking you and like putting in your place. I think a lot of things can be received well if you're presented well.
Okay.
I think about what's going on is coming as an attack. When you keep attacking the woman, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. It's just like, who wants to take that kind of criticism, right? We all want somebody to lovingly check us. Hey, you're doing well in life. You have all this money. You built a legacy. You're doing well in your career. Have you thought about when you're 65, 70? What does that look like for you? Is it the same? You're not going to have the same agility. You're not going to have the same focus. You're not going to have the same earning power. Maybe better, maybe less, But what does that look like for you? Because I honestly believe that we were not designed to be alone.
No, I don't think so either.
So, but we're in the West now. That is all about individualism. Express yourself. Go for it. Live your life. Do whatever you want. But what is the moral compass that's guiding you as a person?
I mean, individuality, respect, not having bounds or whatever. It's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it could come back to become a destruction, for you. I don't think anybody should have complete autonomy, complete power. They say, power corrupts, absolute power, corrupts absolutely.
That's checks and balances, right?
Exactly. In a system where we're not trying to make it about the system or whatever politics, but in a situation, I just me looking back now, thinking back, I don't think in the last 25 years of my life, I've known more than one or two females that have said, I'm sorry.
Wow.
It blows my mind. She'll do everything else.
She'll run around.
She'll run around, circles. She'll make you a meal. She'll cook for you. She'll shift closer to you in bed. She'll do everything else but just say, hey, I screwed up. I am sorry. Now thinking about it, I love females. I love the woman. I think the woman, the female folk, is the most beautiful thing that God created. Just looking at a woman is like a wonderful creation. I don't even want to go, that far into it. I think women are naturally just made beautifully. But that thing in most women has become the reason why they they
don't take accountability.
Yeah, not taking accountability has become the reason why.
You're a woman?
Yes, sadly. And
like we said, right? It's the woman. If you were brought up to check yourself, if you were brought up to take ownership of what you're doing, good or bad, accountability would generally come easily to you, right? The topic of apologizing, that is something you teach your kids. You teach people as you're raising them,
You know the funny thing, even with your contemporaries and stuff, if with your friends, a guy, for example, when I see amongst a group of guys, listen, your homeboys will tear your ass up. Like, bro, you messed up. Men hold themselves accountable. And this pandering for females, your friends will not tell you. You could be around a female that is overweight to the point it's starting to mess with her health, or you're bulging out of your clothes. Guys, this is Truth Hurts. It's a channel that straight fact over feelings. If your feelings get hurt, turn your TV off, get off your phone and get out of there. We address it like it is. While I'm not trying straight up to offend you, at the same time, I hope you listen with an open heart, and take the lessons out of it. You'll find out that this person is overweight, or this person is not doing so well. There are things they're doing wrong. Instead of the friends around them to be the first one to hold them accountable, you'd be like, oh, princess, oh, queen, you're beautiful. In the men's community, we'll tear your ass up. Bro, go lose some weight before you lose your dick, or before something. We'll rip you to shreds before you even go out there, before somebody else looks at you. So that whole pandering.
I think women are emotional.
Okay.
Well, even within the circle of friendships. You start to navigate around your friends like you're doing a slow dance. You know the friend that's too sensitive, that will not be receptive of what you're bringing. You know the one that wants the honest truth. You know the one that if you dare say the truth to them, they stare.
You don't want to hurt their feelings. Right.
So a lot of women have learned to do the dance around their friendship.
Yeah, I'll have the patience. Yeah.
I know, but this is part of the problem why women just in the West. In Nigeria, you see your friend say, "Oh, girl, why are you so fat? What's going on?"
Right.
Because we jokingly.
We'll tell you it right.
And we jokingly kind of hate on you.
Right.
So we jokingly kind of say we're blunt to a rudeness. How come you're not married? What's going on? That's our culture. But when you're here in the West, you're trying to tell somebody, girlfriend, you are 46 years old, you're still renting a home, you're doing well, why don't you have a house? I've had somebody tell me, you're going to meet my sister today, please, I know you're doing well, don't ask her all these questions as to why is she not making all these financial moves. And I was like, well, I didn't think you saw me like that. But so accountability comes when you've grown up in a situation where people have checked you, or you're mature enough spiritually, emotionally to even ask yourself, who am I becoming? Who am I in this situation? What do I want to leave behind? What do I want people to see when they see me? A lot of us don't ask this question. We're just going with the motion, right? We're living every day in the rat race, just running. But part of growth is, who am I? What is my purpose? What am I? How do I want to be perceived? What is my leadership quality? What am I bringing? Am I the kind of spouse or wife that nobody can tell anything? Am I the type of girlfriend that cannot listen to what others are saying? You need to be able to I'm going to be able to look inward, first of all.
Yeah, right.
And have a self-assessment. I think the ability to self-assess and to be honest with yourself can change a lot of things.
It does. I agree with that.
Yes, you have to be able to self-assess and call yourself out before somebody even calls you. Like you were saying, you go home, you've already ripped yourself up the house.
Right.
So when you hear it,
see, that's what I'm talking about. When you're screwing up, let's stop. No, I think we all.
They're so blind to who they are. This is when ego comes to play, right? Are you operating in ego, or are you operating in self-awareness?
At the end of the day, I could lean. I'll go midway. I would think whatever you're doing as a person, as an individual, you have an idea that, okay, this is not this. I'm not living healthy. I'm not making smart financial moves. I'm not doing this, that, and the third. But the problem is because people, especially in the West, which a lot of Africans are copying now, other people around, because America is like, the main, the mirror that everybody, the reflection mirror that everybody looks like and aspires to. But at the end of the day, I do think we all, now there's one thing to be honest with yourself, which comes back to that accountability. And secondly, are you willing to accept that you're failing at something?
Yes. And then when to draw them out.
Draw exactly.
Even in business, right? Even in finances, it comes back to accountability, honesty. Listen, I've invested so much into this. I don't see a way forward in the future. At this point, it's a gamble. When do I stop gambling?
Exactly.
If you know gamblers, a lot of them have problems stopping. It becomes an addiction.
False hope.
False hope. Hopeful expectations. You're expecting that there will be a positive outcome, but deep down, there's a silent voice telling you,
right, like, bro, you're overdoing.
You're overdoing.
You
stop. Some women do that. I mean, I can say for myself, though, in my 20s, I was so enraged that I'm yelling, I'm screaming, I'm doing this, and I know that I need to tone it down. I know that I need to stop, because a man only needs to hear you once. You don't need to tell a man the same thing.
Believe me, we hear you one time.
When I hear you the first time, he either chooses to act or not to act, right? So I'm going because I'm so frustrated. I'm trying to get this person to acknowledge that, hey, I'm telling
Something's
you,
not happening.
something is not happening. That's when you become a nan, right? So deep down, you should stop. You should stop. But the rage, the frustration, the ego again.
The ego.
You wanting to be right, wanting to have things your way.
The wanting to be right, no, you hit the nail on the head. That is basically the need to be right. And usually that is the problem with a lot of us as individuals. Yes, we did say, unfortunately, that the female folk tend to not want to take accountability more because of the pandering. Everybody, don't eat me up if you will, but for a lot of women growing up, even when they make mistakes, there's always someone to the rescue. It's either your father, your parents, your family, your boyfriend, your husband. And if you're pretty, that even makes it worse.
Easy to be rescued.
It's easier to be rescued when you're pretty.
In distress.
Exactly. But for a man, you have no rescuer coming. If you do not, people have no clue how hard a man's life is. You have no rescuer coming. If you do not swim, you're going to drown. Just look at history. Let's just take a most common story that's relatable. The Titanic. What happened when the Titanic was drowning? Women and children go first. Let's save the women and children.
Priority,
yes, women and children. It's not even children, it's women first. Children, that's debatable, women and children. But in a relationship, first in a man that can protect and provide, you're expected to give your life first. You cannot be in a home and there's an invasion or something goes wrong and your family dies before you. You can't live with it. You have to die first as a man before it even gets to your family.
And then imagine protecting a woman, they can't even say, I'm sorry.
Exactly. Now I'm expected to give myself.
I think we want a lot as women without even considering what this guy is giving up to be your man, to be the one who would lay his life for you.
I was having this conversation with someone a couple of days back. I'm saying, listen, for most men, being in a relationship is not even worth it. Unless you're with a person who's done some work, who's healed, who's bringing some type of support to you, mental, support, physical support, whatever it is, but who's, growth oriented. You guys are going someplace.
You have a vision.
You have a vision to build together. Aside that, as a man, there's no incentive. Aside children, legacy, continuity with your family lineage. There's very little in a relationship incentive for a man.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think a lot of us don't look at it like that. Now I'm looking at it like that because I'm spending time with people who are educating me to, for once, shift your focus off of what you want as a woman, shifting to the partner, the other. How are they viewing life? I heard someone say one time that there's no such thing as an unconditional love for a man.
No. It's based on what you're providing.
Yeah, that your love, a woman's love, your family's love for you is based on what you bring.
Yes, sir.
And as a woman, you don't have to bring much.
No.
There's just
coming beautiful, coming feminine or smile. That's it.
And it's a double standard, but the thing is too, how many women have been told to view the man as an emotional being that also wants and needs?
No, we're not emotional. We're not.
To be loved and respected and cared for.
Annie, let me tell you something. As a man, you're going through something. You dare not even come up vulnerable around her.
To me, that is the saddest.
Because the day you start becoming vulnerable around her, she starts to lose her confidence. She starts to, is he going to be able to protect me? Why is he when your children see you cry, it is a sign that, oh, shoot, the world is over. But mom can cry. The kids can cry. The man dare not cry. The man dare not appear weak. Things are going wrong outside. You can't even come home and say it because you don't want them to lose hope
And trust.
You're more worried about how it's going to affect your family than how it's affecting you. There are men that lose their jobs and means of income. They keep lying over it for months, trying to quickly fix the situation
Before she knows.
before she knows. At the end of the day, man, I know we, kind of went left a little bit with that.
From the account.
Accountability with again, that's what's going wrong in the Western society. That's why a lot of men are moving from the West now to seek partners everywhere else in the world that still has that cultural value. Because a woman mind you, once again, I'm not saying every woman. There are amazing people. I've met amazing women here in the West that have been nothing but a pillar of man, everything you can think of. She's been there. She's helped build, whatever the man built, whatever the family had. She's been the greatest, pillar of support to it. So kudos to women like that. But on the general, that's the exception. The norm, generally, when it's good, she's there. When it's not, she moves on to, the next best thing.
That's sad.
It's cold, but now we're starting to, a lot of guys are starting to wake up to it and be like,
The red pill society.
there you go. I was trying not to put it out, but
The red pill society. This is why I said earlier, it's not a gender war. We need to stop fighting gender war and have more dialogues, right? And I started to see the male's pain, the pain of what it is to be a man. A lot of us see the pain of what it is to be a woman. You go through abuse, rape, molestation, adolescent trauma, you beat children, you do all that. And not all women go through that. Some girls are just daddy's girls. They've been sheltered their whole life, protected from their father's house to their husband's house, right? So men too get abused. Men too get used. Men too get molested. Men too back, but we don't have enough initiatives
As a man, when you go through abuse, you can't even come out and say something
I know, because
because it makes you look weak. Oh my God.
But I think that's another society thing. Machoism, macho-ness is a thing that is sold as a selling price.
Whether you,
have a
if it's
man.
a reality, whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, there are standards. We live in a society. We live in a community. There are societal standards. There are cultural standards. Unless you move from wherever you are and go exist in an island where you're by yourself, as long as you live in that community of people, you still, unfortunately, have to tilted towards that standards, the human standards, the societal standard. So, I mean, it's always been like that from time. Back in the ancient days, not all men are able to even have spouses, wives. If you're a man that is not providing, if you cannot hunt, if you cannot fight, if you cannot protect, the stronger men have the plethora of wives, women to choose from or whatever. So there's never been any time in history where being weak has ever been in the favor of a man.
Even in evolution.
Yeah.
They used to say what? Survival of the fittest. I say now survival of the most adaptable, right? So, but the thing, that's why we also have all these rituals and rites of passage.
Absolutely into manhood.
Into manhood. It is still a man's duty to provide and protect.
Okay.
But the man also needs to, the woman also needs to check the health, the mental health.
Provided protect to a person who is not accountable, to a person you
have
cannot.
to choose right? You can't go out there just picking off her beauty and her body and what the trivial things that does not build in the long run. Everybody wants a beautiful woman. But
Of course, we're
where does the
attracted
beauty,
to.
how deep is the beauty?
See, natural, yeah, but you could say, oh, men are very shallow, superficial, but nature's nature for the most. Beauty and, the look and shape of a woman from time, from time, what's the word for it? I'm looking for, from ages has always been a sign of fertility. Has always been, okay, she looks like she can bear children, her waist or hip side. Hey, I didn't create that. But at the end of the day, let's bring it back to modern society. Annie, what is the way forward? Now that we know that it's not an innate thing, according to you.
I don't think it's an innate thing. I think it's a person-to-person thing. I think it's an individual thing. It's like character, right? It's for me, I would say you have to strive to be a better person. You have to want to always be an improved version of yourself. Some people don't have that as part of their goal in life. They just want to make enough money, you have enough material things, and just not deal with the issue. But most times, you are the issue. A lot of.
Can you say that again?
A lot of what is going on in your life, you are an active participant.
The decisions you make.
The decision, the behavior, the character. This is accountability calls you back to yourself. It calls you to check yourself before you're checked by somebody else. I don't like to be checked by other people, so I check myself
before
first.
you wreck yourself.
Exactly. So I check myself first. And for me, an apology is the easiest thing. I don't want to cook this here. Do all these things to prove that I'm sorry. I don't want to take you on a trip. I just want to tell you, listen, I know what I did. I did this. And I can see.
But that's if you even see what you did, though.
And the thing too, there are different forms of apology, right?
I don't want no 200 other forms of apology. If you're sorry, say you're sorry, because if a man is sorry,
I can tell you, Eddie. I did something. I pissed you off. I can just say, I'm sorry. That is not an apology that I'm willing to accept.
actions too. I get it.
No, my apology is, Eddie, I said this. I was careless about how I presented.
Absolutely.
I see how it has affected you. My intentions were not to hurt you, and I can see how I need to improve on my delivery as a person. Would you please forgive me, and can we move on, or how can we?
Why is that so difficult though?
Because it's a person's thing. You have to do the healing work on your life and put your pride aside when you love people. You cannot be playing games in your relationship and telling the person you love them, because true love has no pride.
Say that again.
True love has no pride. You have to be able to apologize quickly, fix things quickly, and move on. You're not with your enemy or your competitor. You are with the person you
chose the person you chose to be
with. You want to do life with, right? If you will not work and exhibit some behaviors or characters with your colleagues and your boss, why would you think it's okay?
It's okay for me to do it with.
And totally act recklessly and think it's okay because they love you. No, because I love you. I want to present the best version of myself. Granted, my days are not always going to be great all the time, but I want to create a peaceful atmosphere in my home. I want my family to come home to a good place and a healthy place. And if we have issues, we'll figure out what our conflict resolutions are. Remember, I was talking to you about how a lot of couples do not discuss conflict resolution. You're going to have conflict. It is only healthy when you start dating, when things are rosy and good, to go like, hey, listen, we're going to have
This is a style, approach to.
dealing. I like to take 20 minutes or a day to go cool off. And then while I'm cooling off, I'm thinking how I participated in this issue, right? And then I'll come back like, listen, I know what I did, and I know how you saw it, and this is what I was trying to express to you, because a lot of issue is communication. Really.
Yes,
Or
exactly. Lack of, or absolutely.
What I was trying to communicate to you is this, but in the heat of the moment, my judgment got
cloudy.
clouded, and I probably said too much or didn't convey what I was actually trying to convey to you. And you say, my conflict resolution is maybe I want to distract myself first. I want to think. I want to tackle it head on. Some people want to tackle head on. I'm not a head on kind. I like to cool off, but I want to tackle quickly. So
So it does not, lead to something else, right?
we cover it up and smile and move on and make love, and then the thing will repeat again.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want that repetitious.
Annie, we're gonna definitely bring you back in the studio, because I'm gonna tell you right now, man, without being perceived as, as a female hater, or like a person like an empathetic person, you're one of the only. Probably one of the 100 females that are left in the world that takes accountability and apologize. And you are.
I see it as accountability because of relationships. I take it because of that's who I am. I know that.
So it was a journey to get there.
A journey to get there. I wasn't always like this. It was a journey of learning to say sorry and sincerely check myself. Made me a better person. It made my relationship smoother. It made my vision clearer to see where I was my own poison. All right? Because in life, you need to know where in your life you are your own poison. And you want to stop drinking that poison. Absolutely. You're going to die. Absolutely. It's a slow poison. It's like pride.
Slow death.
Yeah, it's like pride, greed. All those things are slow poisons that will eventually... you're the one being destroyed. Everybody has an option to excuse themselves from your life. Nobody. That's why divorce rates are so high. People are starting to realize that I don't have to put up with this. Although we're too soft now. There's things that
we can take things right.
If something should break, you should figure out how to fix it first before you trash it.
Instead of running away from it all.
We're in the trash culture, cancel culture. All that stuff.
Trash culture, cancel culture. There you have it, guys. It's been awesome having y'all in the studio. Truth hurts. Truth always hurts. Annie, thank you for being here. Definitely want to have you back in the studio. This is something we've started that, I'd like to see translate and transition to different stages. And maybe there's something that some of our sisters will learn from you, in the department of accountability.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Nice having you here. There you go, guys. See you in the next episode of Truth Hurts. Y'all have a good one. Stay blessed.
Bye.